I want to encourage you to grow more of your own food. It's such a healthy thing to do. Health of being outside and health of the wonderful harvest. And there are much easier ways to do it, I feel, than is often described, like no-dig. It's such a simple method. And the wonderful result of no-dig is, as you can see, very few weeds. I spend really little time weeding here. That means I can concentrate on growing. Because soil is not being disturbed, the weeds don't grow in the same way. There are so many advantages to growing your own food. You're outside doing it, that's a good start. And then the healthy harvests, they taste so different to anything you can buy, and they have healthy microbes on them. A much ignored part of nutrition actually is the wonderful microbes on food that bring health and improve our immunity. So relevant now in the situation with the virus. Thank you for listening, and I really wish you happy growing and good health. Go for it. This is about picking, harvesting and selling as well. So the side of homemakers you haven't seen a lot of, which is actually how I sell some of the produce we grow. It's a kind of strange market garden here because it's also about filming, teaching, writing. So not everything we do is full-on market gardening, but there is a market gardening strand to homemakers. And like this morning, I'm picking these salad leaves for then mixing and washing and putting it into salad bags, which we sell. And you'll see that process. And also we harvest some vegetables. You'll see that. And for selling to, like, in boxes to restaurant. So just covering that whole side of things is interesting. Particularly this salad pick that I'm doing, this is the main sale at homemakers. And taking off outer leaves of lettuce like this is the method I've developed. It works really well for regular and repeat harvest. So this is a Friday morning. It's the main picking morning of the week for salad. We do 2 a week actually, Tuesday as well. This is the biggest one for the weekend. And yeah, enjoy having a look.
Like that it somehow conserves.
That's nice.
When we don't have so much rain, we have enough. So the feeling of this.
So these carrots are going to the local spa in Bruton, and these are carrots which would not qualify for selling to the supermarket, in that you can see they're not even there. Some of them actually are even too long to go in the punnet, so we'll eat them. So there's a certain amount of grading going on here. But what I'm finding is that people are keen to have these because I guess because they taste so good. They are really sweet, and so I am tapping a little bit into the market for quality that you can't buy elsewhere. Having said that, something like these carrots, they're not really that profitable, not compared to, say, leaf crop. And I'm putting around just over 400 grams, about a pound of carrots in each punnet, and I'm selling that for £1. So that's a good deal for whoever buys it, I think. Again, that's good for both parties, all being well. If you find a good grower and the grower finds good customers, it can be a very, very good way to both to buy and to sell produce, as opposed to what I'm doing here, which is selling to a shop. But what I find is that, say, selling to the spa, you need a relationship with the buyer. So we get on well. I've known Phil for more than 20 years, and we kind of understand each other. We know where we're both coming from. I know roughly what he wants. He knows roughly what I can grow and what's worth growing. And, he's prepared to adapt to that. You definitely need that. He can't just... Growing is not like producing stuff in a factory. You've got to have some understanding on both sides and acknowledgement of weather difficulties and all that kind of thing. How long it might take to harvest and so on. And so as a grower, you've got to be good at getting your continuity and not having any gaps or breaks in the supply of whatever you're offering. It's like there's no way you could sell 20 punnets of carrots one week and none the next. Because what's your buyer going to do? They're going to go elsewhere if you haven't got any suddenly.
Melodic music.
No diggity? You haven't heard that? No. Have you heard them, Justin? Or have you heard of no diggity?
What's that?
No diggity?
I've never heard that expression.
Oh, it's a rock band or a rap band.
No diggity?
Yeah.
In tribute to No Dig?
No, not at all. It's just coincidence.
I don't know how to explain in English, but I have the feeling, for example, in Austria or Germany, we have a few of them working with workhorses.
What
They're farming with
horses?
workhorses.
Ah, yeah. They are in March.
Yeah.
But if you keep it reasonably simple, so you're not growing too many different crops there, not at first anyway, then that makes managing it easier. I mean, like onions here, for example, at least in our climate, they always mature about now, so you know that you'll have the ground clear by August at least. Just ideas.
Yeah.
They do things that work.
And so I have a feeling they are kind of conscious of a little deeper meaning of all that stuff. But on the other hand, I think
People doing it. Have you got much information from back home about historical weather records where you're growing?
Not really historical, but I now try this year to record more.
You can find it on the internet though, can't
Yeah.
you? That kind of information. Yeah, I've got a lot of records.
You could probably remember pretty well though as well, year by year.
Well, yes and no, it's surprising actually. It's the same with the weather. I've got, pretty precise weather records.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I look at them
Yeah.
and compare them with how I'm remembering it and realise how fallible the memory can be.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
In terms of raising plants to transplant outside, towards the end of March, in our case early April, which is when things finally start to warm up enough to get them out. So everything in here at the moment is seedlings which tolerate cold. I haven't sown tomatoes yet, for example. There are no courgettes, no zucchini, no sweet corn, no cucumbers, no basil. That whole raft of vegetables is warmth-loving plants, I call them, where what I've got in here at the moment would not be enough for them, or barely. Like, for example, last night it was almost a frost, and this greenhouse is just single pane of glass all round, does not really hold a lot of heat at night. So when I came in this morning, it was reading 3 degrees in here and it was 2 degrees centigrade outside, so to give you an idea. However, what I have here is a hotbed, and that's warmth generating compost heat, basically, of fresh horse manure, which we put in here. It very quickly warms up, and the idea is that the warmth, before it escapes out of the greenhouse, it doesn't actually heat the space in this greenhouse very much, but it has to warm these module trays because it can't escape otherwise, so they get warm as the heat rises. And in fact, this thermometer here is split in 2 parts. It's telling us that the temperature in the greenhouse here is 8 centigrade 46 Fahrenheit. And the probe I've got is under these trays, under the wooden pallet, 22 degrees low 70s Fahrenheit. So that gives you an idea of the difference, and it means that these module trays, if I lift them up, like for example, here's a tray, multi-sown beetroot, and I just have to tell you, you can't feel it, but that's noticeably warm underneath, and so that's helping seeds to germinate, because that's the big difference between temperature levels you need. You need more warmth for seeds to germinate than you do for seedlings to grow. So here's a tray that actually is fully saturated, because we do that deliberately before pricking out. And I want to show you this one particularly because you can see how small these seedlings are. These are lettuce that a friend pricked out yesterday, and I explained how I wanted it. He's done a nice job. So I make a hole and put all of the stem in. So these are little seedlings that were sown only 5 or so days ago, and they're here. I use these trays to germinate all different varieties of lettuce in this case. It's about as many as 12. And then we can just take out ones that we want, of the number we want, and we just select the strongest ones, and it means we get a nice full tray, we don't get any gaps. It doesn't actually take much longer than sowing direct where you want just one plant in a cell. You could sow 2 and thin to 1, but by the time you've done that, it's probably as quick doing this. And the advantage of this is you've got all these seedlings in just a small area to look after. This one I put a bit of vermiculite. Quite often I don't, and the results are not much different. This we've taken a lot from already. The idea being, though, that in one of these trays there can be as many as 1,500 seedlings. If you know, it's a very efficient way to germinate a lot of seedlings in a small space at a time of year when warmth and light are at a premium. I started supplying a local shop with cucumbers last year for the first time, and at first they were dubious because I need a pound to make it, you know, half worthwhile even. A pound per cucumber. These are quite big, long ones, and they balked at that because they were buying them for 70p, I think it was, and selling them for £1. So they agreed, right, we'll pay you £1 and we'll sell them for £1.30. So they weren't making much margin, and lo and behold, they sold. Their customers raved about the flavour, and they were saying things like, we had forgotten what cucumbers taste like. So for example, we're talking about cucumbers like this, and you can see again that wouldn't cut it in the supermarket. It's got slight curving. I'm grading out though ones like that. So that one I wouldn't put on or expect anyone to put on a shelf. Although there's obviously nothing wrong with it, but most people are not used to buying a cucumber like that. But we can eat those. There's usually not too many of them. If you can grow them well enough that you get most of them fairly straight and decent size. And so that's what I'm selling for £1. And that's just about worth it for the work involved.
Removing more of the older leaves.
Yeah, and I'm taking the stems down a bit as well, so that then you can see more clearly the new shoots coming the next time from below. Not leave too many long stems on the top. And then what I'm going to do now is pan it up some French beans, and what I'm doing here is mixing the green and the yellow. So we've got some green ones, Cupidon. Basically I'm growing both, and then I put a mixture in the punnet, and the feedback has been pretty positive. People seem to like that. It looks very pretty on the plate. The flavour is slightly different. It's kind of unique a bit. I don't think you'd buy a punnet of beans like this in a supermarket, and certainly not as fresh, I wouldn't think. And that's only going to be around 200 grams, so it's a bit of a luxury product. And then I slip a rubber band over the top. So this is real minimal packaging, because I think, people in the supermarket would probably look to have a plastic seal over the top of that, but I find this can work. And yeah, people do like that if you can get genuine recyclable packaging. It's just that it's possible for beans and carrots, but very difficult for something like salad leaves. Yeah, so basically I've got 3 crates here. 3 piles of 3 crates, and each pile has the same proportion of all the different things we've picked in most of those. And now it's just a question of mixing them. Then just put them on the table. I mean, you could just go over the top. Just stay outside. Yeah.
Thank you for watching, and just one more thing, if you want more relaxing stuff, I have a free newsletter that I send out every Sunday. There I share relaxing and uplifting stuff that I enjoy and I think you could enjoy as well. like ideas, books and resources, but also ASMR and unintentional ASMR, so you can find it at findcalm.com/Sunday.